Hi, I'm Donna from the Masquerade Costumes and Quilts, and I have an antique machine here that I'm refurbishing for somebody, and it's the cutest little thing. This is a Singer 99K, and it's a very tiny machine, but it's bigger than a featherweight, a little heavier than a featherweight, and it has this great light on the back. It's a rocket lantern, and I want to show you how to take it apart to change the bulb inside, because it took me a while to figure it out, and I thought maybe somebody else out there might have one and want to learn how to do it. So what I'm going to do with this is take the lantern off the machine, because I found that to get the lens cap off, it's kind of hard to do it when it's like this, but it's even harder to get it back on. So there's only one screw holding it onto the machine with a bracket, and I'll show you close up what that looks like. So here you can see this rocket-shaped lantern, and it's got this great lens cover on it, this heavy glass lens cover on it that will point your light directly at your needle base here. And a lot of these old machines have lost the glass, but this one luckily still has it on there, and it's really cute. So right here is the bracket, and there's one little screw up in there, and I'm going to just use this nifty little screwdriver I have that came with one of my modern machines actually, and I'm going to loosen that screw. There's the screw, and here's the light. It's like a flashlight. It's really cool. So when I first cleaned this up and tried to take it apart, this was really jammed in there, and there was a lot of gunk around the inside, and I had to clean that out. But once I did that, I realized that there are 3 spots on this casing that are bumped in closer to the glass. And then these openings here are obviously for the tabs that are on the glass to be able to lift straight out. So once I realized that, I was able to get a small screwdriver in here, and I was able to coax the glass to turn in order to get it out. So what I did was I put my screwdriver in, and I could see where the glass tabs were, and I just pushed a little, and I pushed a little, and I pushed a little until it unjammed itself. It got unstuck. And then I'm just going to push down on this lens, and I'm going to turn it counterclockwise until these tabs pop out from underneath that casing. And when I do that, the lens just falls right out like that. Pretty neat lens there. And you can see that it has these tabs, these 3 tabs that go underneath the casing. So this is what it looks like inside. There is a spring in here that can come out. It's like a leaf spring. So don't lose that. And that's what it looks like. And it's got these bumps on it. You can see these raised parts on it. And that's what you're pushing against when you push the bulb down. You're pushing it on those bumpy spots, and it gives you that spring you need to get it underneath the tabs. So when you put that in, your bumps are facing up towards the lens cover. And then after that, it's just a simple light bulb that unscrews, and you can replace it with the new one that screws back in. And it's a standard light bulb that you'd find on a 66. This is a 99. But make sure it's the screw-in type, not the push-in type. There's the kind that have the 2 tabs on the bottom and the little tabs on the sides, and you push it in and give it a quarter of a turn. This one's a fully threaded bulb, so make sure that you get the screw-in kind. Now they make LED bulbs that are the screw-in type for this machine, and I would highly suggest that, because this old bulb gets really, really hot. Now this bulb's still working and I'm going to put it back in, but I just want to show you how it comes in and out. So I'm just going to screw it back in there, and then I'm going to put my leaf spring in, and I put it in so my bumps are in between the tabs, not underneath them. And it just sits in there. There's a little ledge in there that it sits on. Just make sure that you clean up all that whole area before you go putting it back together so it doesn't stick. These old machines can get really gummed up. And then when I put the tabs in, the tabs on the glass are going right on top of those bumps so that it sits nicely. And I'm going to push down and I'm going to turn it clockwise till they go underneath the casing tabs, and then it's secure. That's it. It's really simple. And now that just sits right back on that bracket, and you use your one little screw to go in the hole. And it screws counterclockwise, actually. And it doesn't take much to tighten it up. There it goes. That's it. Don't tighten it too much. You don't want it to break. Look at that. So it's already getting a little bit warm. But it is in the back of the machine, so that's a plus. You don't have to worry about burning your hand like some of them that are located on the front of the machines. So when you set her up, make sure that your cords aren't anywhere near this belt. There's a belt on the outside of the machine here that turns because it can wear through the cord. You want to be careful about that. She sews like a dream. She has reverse. You can change her stitch length. There's a lever that changes the stitch length. I'll show you how to thread this machine as well. So I start at the spool pin and I travel over to this first hook above the tension discs. I wrap it over the hook and down. I come in between the tension discs, and now it's got to go inside this little wire hoop, and the opening to that wire hoop is over here on the right side. So I bring it over till it goes behind that wire, and now it's inside the wire. You can see when I pull on the thread, it moves the wire. Now you'd think right away you're going to go up to this take-up arm, but you really don't. You're supposed to go down under this little hook here. But I found that if I just go under the hook and then up to the arm, my thread gets stuck over on the wire next to the machine. And I noticed that there's this little hole inside this hook here. Let me zoom in so you can see that. You can see the hole. And that's perfect for threading the end of your thread through, so that it doesn't get stuck in between the machine and the tension race. So I just come from down underneath here and I push my thread up through that hole. And now it's going to keep it always right in the middle of that wire where it belongs. So if I were to hold this and pull, you can see how it pulls down on the wire. Then I come up here to my take-up lever, and I'm going to thread from the right to the left, inside of the machine to the outside of the machine. And then I'm going to come over to this little loop on the side of the machine and just tuck it in behind that. And then there's a bar here. It gets tucked behind that bar. And then I thread the machine from left to right. From left to right. And then I make sure that my thread Goes between the toes of my foot and back behind the machine before I start to sew. Now to thread the bobbin, a lot of these machines are missing the plate that goes here. It slides off to the left and then it stops so that you don't lose it. But some people force it off the machine and then they can't get it back on. And that's because to get it on the machine, you have to lift it up from this side, like that. And there's this little spring here underneath. It's on two sides, it's here and here. And it's gonna go right into those two little spots on my door. So if I bring my door above the throat plate here and I push down on these two sides, I can get those springs to feed into the two little levers, and then it goes right into place. So now when I open it up, I just slide it till it stops, and then I have access to my bobbin. So you can see there's a button here. This is a button, and when I push down on it, it lifts my bobbin up so I can pull the bobbin right out. And my bobbin gets put in so that the bobbin is wound and comes off the top and to the left like a letter P. And it just gets dropped straight down in that little hole. And then you'll see there's a slice, there's a couple of slices, but this bigger one down here to the side is the one that you want the thread to go through. And it's going to come in there, and then it comes to the second slice, and it's going to end up going across your bobbin like that. So in order to bring the bobbin thread up to the top of the machine, I'm going to hold on to my top thread. I'm just going to put my finger on my top thread to hold it still. And I'm going to crank my hand wheel toward me once. And you can see the thread going in and around and scooping up that bobbin thread. And now I'm going to pick up, I'm going to pull on this top thread, and it pulls my bobbin thread right out so that I can grab it and bring it to the top of the machine. Now they both go underneath. I can close my bobbin case cover, and then they just go to the back of the machine before I start to sew. Look how nice that is. What a sweet little machine.